Welcome to the Crazy History Channel. Today we are going to go over some pretty crazy history stories, so sit back and enjoy. Emperor Shaka Zulu was one of the most feared men in Africa during the 1800s. He built his empire by conquering smaller tribes and using their land to grow sugarcane, coffee, and cotton. To oversee the massive amounts of labor required to run these plantations, he chained women to carts like horses, whipping them on with sticks until they pulled the cart where he wanted it to go. And yes, he did use the whip on the women. Okay. Now, even though he was half black and half white, he identified himself as black and started one of the first civil rights movements in the world. His military tactics were so advanced that some historians believe that if he had lived longer, he might have conquered all of South Africa and possibly even the European settlers who ruled the Cape Colony. But sadly, he didn't live too long. He was killed at the age of 28 in a battle against his own half-brother. And just to add to how messed up this dude's life was, that half-brother he was fighting against was the son of Shaka's father and another woman. Not mom, not a different woman. The dad just straight up had two women. Well, technically three if you count the mom. Anyway, moving on, in medieval Japan there were these warrior monks known as the Tosa clan. They were known for their skill in martial arts and their ability to fight while chanting Buddhist prayers. They also had a really cool headdress that kinda looked like this. But eventually the Tosa clan got wiped out because one guy was being a huge douchebag. See, the head guy of the Tosa clan had a younger sister who was the favorite of their dying father. The father gave her all his possessions, and she became a millionaire. She then went and married a guy from a rival clan, which made her brother angry. In turn, he tried to kill her but failed and fled. He then joined forces with a warlord, and together they raised an army and slaughtered the entire Tosa clan. After the victory, the warlord rewarded him by making him the new leader of the clan, which meant he inherited all of his sister's stuff. The end. Ancient Greek and Roman statues are almost always depicted as being nude or partially nude. But when Michelangelo was sculpting David, he actually had to cover up. See, back in the Renaissance, the Catholic Church considered the human body to be too sacred to be displayed in public. So Michelangelo had to hide David's junk. He also couldn't show David's perfect abs, so he sculpted a fig leaf for him. But I guess that wasn't enough because later on, someone actually added pants to David. Yep, someone came along and thought, you know what's missing? Pants. So they literally just glued some pants onto the statue. But the funny thing is we don't know who. There's been many theories over the years, but no one knows who came along and gave David his birthday suit. There was a real-life Tarzan who lived in the jungles of India. His name was Tarzan Das, but he preferred to be called Tarzan. He lived in the jungle with his father after his mother died when he was young. And just like Tarzan, he was raised by his father and never really knew any other humans. One day some villagers found him and brought him into town. At first, Tarzan was treated like a celebrity, and people would pay to come and see him. But then the novelty wore off and he was put into an insane asylum where he spent the rest of his life. Sadly, he never learned to speak and died believing that he was the last of his kind. For years, pineapples in the 1700s used to be rented as a symbol of wealth and power. People would rent them just for a single night so they could show off to fellow partygoers. But the craziest part was that after the party, the pineapple would then be returned to the rental shop so it could be used again. So basically, it was like Uber, but for pineapples. But the pineapple craze didn't stop there. People would also rent them just so they could use the tops as hats. And once a pineapple was rented for a whopping 500 pounds, that's like 13,000 pounds today. In ancient Rome, gladiators weren't paid, but they weren't slaves either. They were actually volunteers who came from all over the Roman Empire. Many of them were criminals who were given the choice between hard labor or fighting as a gladiator. Some gladiators became so popular that they had fan clubs and their own merchandise. And after they retired, many of them became circus performers. But if you weren't a popular gladiator, life was pretty brutal. Most of them died in the arena and the pay was horrible. You could make about $150 a year, which isn't even minimum wage today. History is so crazy, please hit that like and subscribe button for more crazy history content coming soon. Thanks for watching!